Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm Substantive Publicity Secretary, please.
All right, Substantive Publicity Secretary. Thank you very much for clarifying that. We're also joined by the Commissioner for Environment in Rivers State, Honorable Tambari Sidney Gbara. Good morning and thank you for joining us. All right, whilst we're connecting with Honorable Gbara, thank you very much for, Honorable Gbara, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the show. I'll start with Mr. Ikenga. It's a number of things that have happened in Rivers State, the most recent being the plot to impeach the governor, former governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Ngozi Odu, the minister of the FCT, had said that if the governor is impeached, heaven will not fall. So let's get your thoughts on the potential of what this might mean should it play out.
Much for having me. Thank you, my brother, who is also your guest. Welcome to the program. The minister's response must be properly put in context. He was responding to the threats coming from non-governmental actors who ordinarily should sue for peace, but they took to threats of violence. And it was indeed in response to that the minister rebuffed those threats as non-existent, as things that will only end at the level of those threats as they had been captured. So it must be put in that context to be able to know exactly why he said so. And that he also did say, and I agree with him completely on this issue, that you cannot threaten people to abdicate their constitutional responsibilities. You can't threaten the governor, you can't threaten the House Assembly members, you can't also threaten the judiciary to abdicate their constitutional responsibility. I think it was on the basis of that he did say so. So I don't know whether that explains that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to bring in Honorable Tambari Sidney Gbara into the conversation. Now, Honorable Gbara, you are a member of the Rivers State Executive Council, and I'm sure you've seen this letter addressed to the from the Rivers State House of Assembly alleging gross misconduct on the part of your principal, the governor, and the deputy. What do you make of this impeachment notice, and do you think there are legitimate grounds for the State House of Assembly to institute these allegations against your principal? Are there legitimate grounds for gross misconduct?
Well, yeah, let me thank you for having me this morning. Well, the Assembly has clearly taken us back to the incident of 30th October 2023. Of course, we all know that there are no known allegations or the governor had never acted in any way that they will now want to accuse him of gross misconduct in office. That is just not known at all.
Are they playing a script?
Yes, of course. Impeachment is their intention ab initio. We remember vividly well that the governor was just 3 months in office in October last 2023 when an attempt was made to impeach him. And we all know that somebody who is just 3 months in office has barely settled down, talk less of having to have committed any impeachable offense. For all this long while, the presidential intervention, proclamation, all that litigations here and there, it was only a kind of a postponement of the doomsday. So this is their agenda ab initio. You can clearly see that implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling or order or judgment, they are frustrating it because this is exactly what they have in mind to do. This is the directive that they've been given by their, by whosoever that is remote controlling them. So it's actually a script that they are playing.
Who do you think is controlling them?
And they are adamant and making sure they take it to the letter.
All right, just to bring in Mr. Ikenga to the conversation as well, you've heard Honorable Gbara saying that he thinks they are playing a script, and also emphasizing the frustration that the House of Assembly may have cost the governor in terms of him trying to execute the judgment of the Supreme Court. Let's revisit that conversation about why the governor has yet to represent the budget before the House, the moves that have been made, the most recent letter he's written, giving them notice to appear tomorrow, the 19th of March, and saying either the 19th or any other day they might deem fit. Why do you think that they seem to have been frustrating the efforts of the governor to represent the budget?
Thank you once again. I'd disagree with him completely on the use of the word frustrating the governor. You recall that this had, I don't want to bore you with the chronology of all these events. You already have details of all these developments. But let's face what is before us now. You recall that upon the decision of the Supreme Court that the Rivers State House Assembly felt the need that there was urgency in ensuring that the budget is passed to be able to forestall the seizure or withholding of the allocations, statutory allocations to Rivers State. So Rivers State government will be in a position to be able to attend to its responsibilities. They did that by taking the steps of informing the governor to present the budget within 48 hours. Assuming that considering that the governor found that too short a time, he should have reached out to them to say, look, gentlemen, I'm unable to meet up with the 48 hours. Let's give me like 7 days. I'll be able to do that. That's the way to go about things. But he didn't do so. But the government came up to say that they didn't see the letter and they didn't receive any letter. Meanwhile, you are also aware that the courier service that delivered it gave their own report that they went there. They saw the government officials. They made a phone call and somebody directed them not to receive the correspondence from the House Assembly. So you also heard the government now wrote to the Rivers State House Assembly. I read that on the social media as well. And the Rivers State House Assembly said they didn't receive. So you now see they have injured each other. They have lost confidence in each other. So over time, they no longer trust each other. Sessions, compromises, concessions to be able to come back as one. And that has not happened. So to say that they are frustrating the governor's presentation of the budget is very unfortunate. Take note that before you go to the assembly, you must write them officially through the proper channels. Exchange of correspondences are known. They have those mediums through which they do that. You know, they have the media through which those things can be done. And you understand that if you don't do it through that way, some people will feel that, or some institutions will feel that you have undermined them. And that is what is going on. However, you know that the Supreme Court decision came with some indictment on the governor. Clearly that the governor has involved himself in infractions that are antithetical to his oath of office and oath of allegiance.
Can you mention some of these infractions?
So having said that, hello?
Can you mention some of these infractions that you say the governor has committed?
I said the Supreme Court said.
Yes.
So if you want me to mention, I'll go ahead and mention a few of them.
Go ahead, please.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I said that the Supreme Court judgment indicted the government, the executive, under Governor Siminalayi Fubara. One of them was that, first, that the governor and his executive did destroy the Rivers State House Assembly to twist the Rivers State House Assembly building, to twist the Rivers State House Assembly from doing their job, to stampede them, to ensure that they do not carry out their constitutionally provided responsibilities. You also heard, if you read the judgment, you also heard where the Supreme Court said that the way the governor and the executive had operated in Rivers State, that there was a total absence of government. You also heard that the decision from the Supreme Court did say that the governor had been spending funds that were not appropriated. He did not submit budget to the properly recognized and legally supportive House Assembly. So these are infractions. Be that, to mention by the people, be that as they appear, these things could have easily been solved, even now that they have issued this notice informing the governor of the infractions, particularly what they construe as misconduct.
Honorable Gbara, I'm so sorry I'll bring you in, but I just want to follow up on the answer that Honorable Ikenga has just given. What would you say are the remedies? What solutions you think is possible? Because it just seems like there's a dead end and both parties are unwilling to find a middle ground.
That's for me?
Yes, that's for you. You know, as a follow-up to the answer you
I was saying that even now, after they have issued this notice, there still can be a resolution, reconciliation. Like I've always said, I said, politics is about compromises. What is going on in Rivers State is strictly speaking politics.
So what would be the compromise?
Politics.
What would be the options, the solutions, even now that there's an...
The solution is that the governor and those who are opposed to him must find a way to sit on a round table behind the scenes and make those proper compromises and concessions for reuniting of the states.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to bring in Honorable Sidney Gbara back into the conversation. Now, Honorable Gbara, we've seen the list of infractions on the back of the Supreme Court judgment. These are very serious allegations. Has there been any official communication from His Excellency Governor Fubara on the next line of action? And also, do you think we've crossed the Rubicon? Because this is the nuclear option. They want to go for the jugular. They want to have him removed. Is it too late to reach a compromise and, you know, perhaps find a middle ground, or it's you think they're going to go all the way?
For my own part, I think it lies on the assembly to, you know, demonstrate their interests on River States and not maybe trying to propagate, you know, a selfish interest from anywhere, maybe from them or from whosoever that is directing them. The governor ab initio had expressed or have demonstrated willingness to, at every point in time, extend our hand of fellowship, you know, to the assembly for them to work together. Remember, the presidential proclamation had 9 points, all against the governor. In fact, it was one of the points that have been used against him today. They were all instructed to withdraw their cases from court. The governor did not only withdraw his own cases that he instituted, but he went ahead to withdraw representation in this very matter that has gone into Supreme Court today. But what did they do? They didn't withdraw the case. They carried on with the case. This is one of the very clear indications to show you that the assembly have something sinister. They are not ready for peace. Now, fast forward back to the Supreme Court judgment. After the Supreme Court judgment, it has never happened in the history of Nigeria. Before I even talk about that, the governor has shown so much magnanimity to show that it does not start and end with presentation of budget. The governor had written to the assembly inviting them. My dear brother there talked about sitting at a round table. The governor had written to the assembly inviting them so that they can sit at a round table, because he has seen them as a people he was going to work with as from now onwards, at least for the remaining 2 years of his tenure. And so therefore they can come, let them come, so that they can sit down, talk about a lot of issues outside presentation of budget, which their enumeration, salaries, and whatever thing, accruement that were supposed to go to them, were brought top note in the agenda. But the assembly refused to honor this invitation. The governor also wrote to them that he was coming to present the budget. Never in the history of Nigeria have we heard that the assembly locked a sitting governor out at the gates of their complex or wherever they are sitting. They did that, and they never allowed the governor in to present the budget. The governor again wrote to them, proposing tomorrow that he was going to represent the budget or any other date they deemed fit for him to come and present the budget, since budget is a problem. And what did we see? Adjournment sine die. So this clearly shows that this is a people that have made up their mind, you know, not to cooperate with the governor. Like in my local parlance, they say when you want to kill a small dog, you give it big names. That is exactly what we see the assembly is trying to do, looking for every means possible to carry out their evil acts. And so, talking about reconciliation, sitting down, the governor had always reiterated this in several forums that no price is too big for him to make for ensure that there is peace in Rivers State. He has reiterated that over and over again. So I don't know what else that he's supposed to do. He has extended the hand of fellowship. He has lent out the olive branch. It's left for the assembly to take advantage of it and say, okay, let us sheathe our sword, and for the sake and the progress of Rivers State, let us move forward at this point. So the governor has done everything manly possible to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State.
Thank you, Honorable.
He has all these actions have met a brick wall from the assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Gbara. I'd like to pose a final question to Mr. Ikenga. With all this political drama happening in Rivers State, what's the real cost for the ordinary people of Rivers State? Is it affecting governance and service delivery, or is it just all noise at the top for now?
Okay, thank you. Firstly, the impression given there by your guest is that the House of Assembly is an appendage to the executive. That's not right. And then he also gave an impression to say that things were normal. It's stating situations that happens between the executive and the legislature when there is normalcy. Under this circumstance, a lot of water have passed under the bridge, and they have become quote unquote enemies. Quote unquote enemies, and you don't expect those normal things to happen. You don't expect that the governor will write another institution through his secretary to government, who is an aide to the governor, to the governor. So these are some of these. You are talking about the governor have been very magnanimous. Let me say that they didn't need a meeting for the salaries and allowances owed. For the salaries and allowances owed the House of Assembly to be paid, they didn't need a meeting. However, the Rivers people are the people who are worse for these challenges. We have said severally, we have spoken that development has been retarded, governance for this nearly 2 years, nothing had happened. We are in a situation where the state is in a halt. So we had asked that reconciliations, people should stop holding back on their entrenched positions. They have to make a way, you have to shift, make concessions, because it's politics. So this zero-sum game where winner takes all and loser loses all is part of the crisis. And it is high time we start down to look at concessions that will breed peace, because both the governor and the House of Assembly members were elected by the people, and they carry the mandates of the people, and they must work together to ensure that they deliver on the goods and services that the people yearn for.
It's just unfortunate that this feels like a repeated cycle, because the attempt to impeach the governor, this is not the first time. Remember, the former time was when we had the drama of the assembly quarters being demolished. You know, what even necessitated that first one, and how did we get to the point where it feels like politics has now trumped governance in Rivers State? But what we want is the peace of Rivers State and the progress of the people. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning on the show.
Thank you.